because your employee would have planned towards that exact amount, right? The decent thing to do is to pay that employee the exact amount that you have agreed on. Minimum wage has been reviewed, and it was reviewed upward to 85,000 naira. And she's calling them out to say that they're still collecting 40,000 naira. And let me tell you something about some of these government establishments that I think, when we start to clamor for standardizations and processes, it is because of things like this. Because it's not for the lack of funding. There is money available. But you see, as long as we're not intentional about digitizing some of these things, you continue to have people that want to take advantage of the system, right? If for instance, it is a direct debit and direct credit to their accounts, and money don't have to pass, I don't know how they pay them, right? But if there's a standing instruction, so come rain or sunshine, the computer does not know whether I want to deduct 2,000 naira from somebody's salary. Once there's a standing instruction and it has been reviewed to 85,000, automatically that credit will just, go straight. There will be a debit and there will be a credit of the set amount. So I'm just trying to call on Loma. These people, they are working tirelessly. You see them on the roads trying to keep Lagos streets clean and all of that. The decent thing to do is pay them what they're worth. I know that even this 85,000 naira is really nothing compared to what they have to face in terms of transportation costs, feeding, cost of living, and all of that. But this is what they have, you have said you want to pay, and they've agreed to that pay. The decent thing to do is just to pay them their money. I don't know how else to say it, right? Let's stop this thing where on paper is written that you'll be collecting 150,000 naira salary. Meanwhile, in reality, you're collecting 80,000 naira salary. Who is taking that money? And yet that person is still on the seat. We need to curb this level of corruption. It's bad. You must pay, a laborer is worthy of their wages. You must pay them what they're worth. I mean, at least they are doing the work. All right, so I'll move on to Akpabio. I don't know if we have that video. Akpabio's response to Senator Natasha. So that's my final story for today.
For the public to know that whatever decision we arrive at here is unanimous. And I recall the last decision we took, and which concerned one of our sisters here, the senior Senator Natasha Bochu-Duagan. I'm also aware that when she left the chambers, she went to Brekete Radio, and she went to Arise Television, and she distorted the facts. I'm aware further that she has now externalized the matter by attempting to embarrass the Federal Republic of Nigeria by going to give a narrative at the IPU UN event, totally different from what occurred in the Senate. But I want to thank our Right Honorable Member Kafilat, right? That's her name. Kafilat Okwara, who had to give a press conference in New York to caution the international press not to vilify Nigeria, but to note that the facts presented by her were totally out of tune with what occurred in the Nigerian parliament, and that we have our own internal mechanisms of resolving issues in Nigeria. And outside this parliament, we also have the judiciary, which is even standing before the judiciary. So I don't know why even here, she has brought a petition, and she has not allowed us to even look into it. She went to court, and then she has not allowed the court to look into it. She has gone to the international community, and she may not even allow the international community to look into it. She may decide to run to I don't know where. I don't want to be misquoted, but the reality is that we remain resolute. We are law-abiding. We operate through the rules of the Senate, which is an extension of the powers and privileges given to us by the ground norm, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We still are open to making sure that we remain in peace, and we left room for her to recognize that what she's doing may even frighten a lot of men in future from even appointing or selecting female deputy governors. You can imagine if somebody like Kamala, the immediate past Vice President of the United States, were to go on CNN to say that Biden, the president, sexually assaulted her by shaking her hand or by holding her hand to show her the office of the president. Then automatically it means that nobody will pick another woman as vice president. But I have 4 daughters, so I want to plead with politicians, still give my 4 children a chance. Do not take the action of one person and punish others. My religion and the Bible had forbidden that the sins of the father will no longer be visited on the children. So please, we still have so confidence in our female folk. In this 10th assembly of the Senate, we have only 4 women, and the 4 of them are all committee chairmen, intentionally, in order to give a voice to women in the parliament. So I thank you for this vote of confidence. I will not take it for granted, and I also have confidence in you and your ability to continue to contribute your quota towards nation building. Let's remain focused on why we are here. These things are distractions and diversionary. May God Almighty bless all of you. May God, using this Ramadan and Lent period.
I have a lot of things to say. You know, it's just from this statement, you clearly see that, you know, I had a conversation with Libora Soshoma yesterday, and I was asking that how relevant are women in politics today? Men don't regard women, you know, because when you say something that in the future, men will be afraid to either appoint or select deputies. So does it mean that for the rest of our lives as women, now only deputy that we fit for? So we cannot be the one to be selecting a man to be our deputy. There's a lot. This statement is heavy. This statement is very heavy. But I would like to say to Senate President Godswill Akpabio, if the matter, I mean, based on what Liberals had explained yesterday and, of course, what had happened, yes, clearly there was a mix-up of issues, which I would say both Natasha and the Senate, they were both guilty of it because they too mumbled up the issues. Because if you want to go by what she did by not moving seats, the law states that I think she cannot be suspended beyond 14 days. For you to give her a 6-month suspension, it means that the Senate is also mixing up the issues, right? That's number one. Number two, Senate President Godswill Akpabio, if truly you didn't want Natasha to take our dirty lenience out to the what's called the international community, it would have been a simple situation. There is a problem, there's an allegation. You know what, Natasha, this is the right way to go about it. I will step aside, you will step aside, let the committee go and do an investigation. All this matter don't end since. But no, everybody wants to do grandstanding. So the Senate is trying to oppress her because now, what is the grounds for 6-month suspension? What is the grounds? Because from your rules, I hear that it's supposed to be a 14-day suspension, right? So there are so many things that has gone wrong with this case. And the only way to go right by anything is to just do what is right. If this person is accusing you of sexual harassment, submit yourself to a probe. Let her also submit her evidences. And all this matter would have ended. But no, it is just back and forth every day. And I take exception to your what's it called, your statement to say that in the future men will be afraid to either appoint or select women. Does it mean that the positions of leadership are meant for men? Is it that women are not allowed to dream or aspire to become leaders? That you think that it's okay for you to make that statement? That statement was too heavy. And it's not you, it's not, honestly, it's not the men I blame, it's the women. Because for the number of population we have as women, and we keep voting these people into power, we are the ones to blame. Let's not be using mouths to be saying women support women. Use your tongue. When you see a woman on a ballot, vote for her. I'll take a break. Let's continue the conversation around the kind of leaders that we have. Stay with us.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we'll connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
All right, thanks for staying tuned. Now, Nigeria's leadership landscape has been marred by numerous instances of leaders with very questionable characters. Now, I'm going to mention a few cases, and this is not to say that these are the only people that have been labeled or they have been accused or some fingers have been pointed at, right? This is just to mention a few that were just obvious, right? And you can find this story once you just go online. We didn't have to do any investigative journalism. We found them online. So if there's anything false in it, it would be nice for the leaders to come out. And this is what we're saying. And that's why we are even having this conversation. If you feel like somebody has said something wrong or somebody is accusing you falsely, right, and questioning your integrity, then do the proper thing. Because these are stories that are everywhere. And it is really heartbreaking that we will go into the news, we go everywhere, and this is what we are reading about, the crop of leaders that we have in positions of authority, right? Now, Femi Gbajabiamila, right, was found guilty of $25,000 fraud in the U.S., and he was suspended for 36 months in 2007. And the embattled majority leader of the House of Representatives was reportedly prosecuted and found guilty of withholding $25,000 belonging to his client by the Supreme Court of Georgia in February of 2007. The judgment read, Gbaja, who, of course, had only been a member of the bar since 2001, admits that he accepted payment of $25,000 as settlement of a client's personal injury claims, deposited injury claims. Now, deposited those funds in his attorney trust account in 2003 and failed to promptly disburse those funds to his client. He withdrew those funds for his own personal use and closed his practice and moved out of country. He came back to your dear country, Nigeria. Now, and this is somebody that is actively serving in office, right? I want you people to follow me. This is not a personal attack on anybody. In all honesty, if you have more stories of different people that I'm not going to mention today, please share the story, right? Shortly before the 2023 general elections, we saw how even our dear president, indictment upon indictment about his certificate, about, him being linked to a drug deal or something like that. These are issues that come up every day. Right? Senate President Akpabio, I will not leave you because your own matter is online as well, right? They said the Senate President has had various allegations that have been thrown at him. Of course, the recent one is the sexual harassment. Of course, two issues around money laundering. Although he broke his silence about the ex-NDDC boss that said, he harassed her for sexual he harassed her sexually and that she actually even slapped him. He has also said that he's going to take legal actions. Her name is Joy Nunye, right? She was a former NDDC boss. She was the first person to accuse him of sexual harassment about 5 years ago. So it's not even today matter. And we're, of course, yet to hear any update, or except the recent statement that he just made now on Natasha. Akpabio also has had so many issues, from calls of him to be probed over alleged 1 trillion fraud, right? The financial infractions and irregularities that range from circumventing of procurement procedures, part of what the former NDDC boss accused him of as well. Suspicious payments of monies, possible money laundering, to award of contracts rather to non-existent shell companies, right? Akpabio also, as the governor, he was also accused of looting over 1 trillion of Akwa Ibom State Treasury and over 200 billion naira NDDC funds as a minister. So these are issues that once you just type online, you will see them throwing everything at you. Never for once have I heard our judiciary, right, or the people that are supposed to hold these people accountable, the financial crimes, is it ICPC or EFCC, never for once have we heard them say, you know what, these are grave allegations and we need to investigate it. Every single leader right now, it is hard, and I'm saying every single one of them carefully. It is very hard if we dig into the life of everyone occupying a leadership position today that we will not find something gray there. If we move away from Akpabio, former Governor El Rufai, I mean, the reason I'm adding El Rufai to this, he's not currently serving, but there was a video I saw today that was posted. It was posted on Instagram, where there were very strong allegations of how he abducts people. So he has been alleged, right, it is alleged that the killings in Kaduna South stopped or it diminished after his exit from office. And this interview that I was talking about, the show is called Inside Sources. It's on Channels Television. And it was Professor Chidi, right? That is Odin Kalu, that made those allegations. He accused him of abducting several people that went against his will. If you pull up a tweet that is on that Professor Chidi's page, he says, at El Rufai has caused to be issued on his behalf a tissue of untruth, you now put hashtag half-truth, and falsehood concerning his brutal persecution of his critics as the governor of Kaduna State. To help his memory, here is a litany of hashtag body bags of critics who have suffered at his hands. He said that the Kaduna State government so he gave a list of that. However, El Rufai actually came out and denied, complicity, saying that a particular case of an abducted government critic, that's Abubakar Idris, popularly known as Da Diata, right? That he was abducted. This man was abducted by unknown assailants or unidentified assailants until date, as at the time that this thing was reported, that they had no trace of him. He was taken in his BMW car and all of that. And some of those that were prosecuted under El Rufai, I don't know if we remember this music producer, Audu Mekori. So what we even heard from Chidi Odinkalu saying that Audu had to flee the country, asylum, because of El Rufai. Because he had accused the governor of falsehood and manipulation, or manipulating the courts in the states. Of course, El Rufai came out to deny all of these things, but these are the characters of the people that we see that are, either past leaders or serving leaders. So the question is that, is Nigeria a breeding ground for leaders that have questionable character? That every single time somebody does something outrageous, the person would leave that place, pack shop, and he thinks that it's okay for the person to come here. You remember the case of, I mentioned, I think I've said this thing several times, of a, what's it called, of a medical doctor that lost his license. His license was revoked in the US. This man, till date, is still practicing soundly in Nigeria. His practice is in Magodo and doing all sorts of things there. So this is not even around political leaders alone. It is in general. Nigeria has just become that place where you think it is okay that maybe you've been accused of any kind of thing, then you now come to Nigeria, everybody will welcome you with open arms. Senator Imasue, the senator that is the head of the, what's it called, the committee, allegedly stole millions of dollars from clients in the US, and he was banned for life from practicing law. He absconded to Nigeria. That man is a sitting senator. In fact, he is the chair, committee chair on ethics. See the title where they give him? Ethics and Public Petition. This man was barred from practicing law in the US for stealing millions of legal fees that was paid to his client, Daphne Sheffield. That is the allegation. They said Neda Imasue admitted and he was disbarred, and his name was stricken off from the roll of attorneys and counselors at law. And this decision was taken in 2010, May. He ran away, of course, and came back to his dear country, Nigeria. He refused to appear, you know, following all the petitions that were leveled against him. He ran away, and he came to Nigeria. And that person today, he's a sitting senator in Nigeria, making laws that he never obeyed while he was practicing law in the US. And he's now sitting. What is even the thing is that he's sitting as ethics committee chair. Do you know what ethics is? So when issues like this are happening, and they now give somebody like a Senator Natasha a 6-month suspension and all of that, you would, I mean, it's like you, before you even entered the match, you already lost that game, right? Because what it means is that for as long as we continue to have questionable characters in positions of leadership, and people that are supposed to be the ones to protect and preserve, what's it called, rule of laws and all of that, as long as they have questionable character, the laws will never be in the favor of the upright and the just. It won't. It means that for every time you're about to score a goal, they will shift the goalpost. So Nigeria's political system has been criticized for, of course, prioritizing loyalty and patronage over competence and integrity, leading to a culture of impunity. The country's history is filled with examples of leaders who have been embroiled. Like I said, these names I just mentioned, they're just the tip of the iceberg. We have a lot of people that just think that, I've heard somebody say to me that a lot of young guys that do this Yahoo, what they do is that when they do those internet frauds and they hit it big, right, they go and take chieftaincy titles. They go and take all of these titles and all of that. So our leaders, I mean, we have examples of leaders who have been embroiled in scandalous situation, issues on corruption, you know, abuse of power. And would I call it that, what exactly is causing it? Would it be poverty? Would it be the fact that there's inequality or lack of access to education? Or is it this what's it called, the lack of proper healthcare structures, you know, that have contributed to this desperation among citizens that is even making them more susceptible to, what's it called, this kind of leaders who have questionable characters, because you just accept them. You have no choice. My life is already bad already, so let me just accept them. Or do we put it on religion and ethnicity? how they have often played a significant role in the, of course, in Nigerian politics, leading to emergence of leaders who exploit, because even religious leaders too, they exploit a lot of young people, a lot of vulnerable people for their own personal gains. Nigeria's positioning right now, right, is positioned as a key player in even regional and global affairs. And this has also raised the question. Remember how they talked about interference, how Jonathan talked about international organizations interfering in our local politics. Because that international interference also in our political structures, sometimes these ones have also brought about the idea that they need to put the leaders that can answer to them. So these questionable characters that we talk about, it is because also these international interferences, you know, from different things that you report, you read online, right? They also need to keep on putting stooges there that will continue to do what they need, what they want them to do, because they want Africa to remain the way it is, status quo. Nothing changes, so that nobody disrupts the system. And if we have all of this happening with a huge absence of robust institutions or mechanisms that even hold our leaders accountable, right, then you are just continuing, there's a continuation of fueling of impunity in the country. And finally, when we have a docile citizenship, a citizen, where you are not engaging, you're not participating in some of the political processes, we'll continue to have the emergence of leaders with questionable characters in Nigeria. Because for as long as we do not prioritize citizens' engagements, you know, to say, you know what, I must continue to play my role, so that we stop having the crop of leaders that we have and start to intentionally install people that will get us out of some of the challenges that we are faced with, they will continue to have things just go the same way. So there's a myriad of issues, right? There's a myriad of issues that is causing it. But it is, what breaks my heart is the comfort that we think it is okay that after we've done all the bad things in this world, the best thing to go and do is just go and pick a position of leadership. Everything will go away. Because even political leaders understand this. And that's why most times when they are in an opposition party and maybe there's a new sheriff in town, they quickly jump ship to the new party so that nobody questions them. That way, EFCC will not go after them, ICPC will not go after them. You now ask the question. It begs the question, is EFCC a political party, or EFCC is actually after fighting corruption? Because if people that are in the ruling party, political party, are not questioned, they are just kept, you know, nobody questions them, then what are we truly fighting? Are we even fighting corruption in this country? So there's a lot to unpack in this question. But the whole idea, right, is I want to know what your thoughts are, right? Especially with some of these cases that I've mentioned and some of the cases that you know that I haven't mentioned. Are we ever going to get to that time where we, right, have people with sound integrity and moral upstanding run the affairs of our country? Will we ever get there? Let me go on a short break, right? When I come back from that break, we'll have more insight on this conversation. And of course, I would open the phone lines. Stay with me. All right, thanks for staying tuned. Now, if you just tuned in, we're asking, is Nigeria a breeding ground for leaders with questionable characters? Now, please let me hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join this conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. Our phone lines are also now open. The numbers to call are 070-2500-7749 or 070-1424-2420. I'd really love to hear what you have to say. So let me take a comment on YouTube first before I come back. It says, this is from Ayola Olatunji, says, Akpabio saying they are law-abiding when he comes to the Senate of the contraption called Nigeria through dubious means. Okay, that's an allegation. That's an allegation. And same person says, the young people called the obedient participation in 2023 election, nothing comes out of the electoral process. I'm trying to understand why you typed this. For as long as we continue to have leaders of questionable character, or characters rather, in our positions where policies are supposed to be shaped, laws are supposed to be made, bills are supposed to be passed, and all of these things, governance is supposed to happen, it go hard. As in, we have a long way to go in Nigeria. We truly have a long way to go. And you know what? I don't even know how to go about this, but, in an attempt to address, the issue of Nigeria being a breeding ground for leaders with questionable characters, there might just be several generic solutions that I would try that could be implemented. That is, if we are ready. And it starts from us as Nigerians. We must come together and recognize that despite, our differences, we are all one people. You see, I keep saying this thing all the time. When I deal with people, I don't deal with people across religion. I don't deal with people across ethnic lines. I don't deal with people across any of those divides. I first of all look at you and I say, you are one. So what would make me and you live together in peace and harmony? Those are the kind of things, those are the kind of issues we need to continue to, push forward and continue to fight towards getting. The government, we need to have that government that would treat all tribes, religion, ethnic groups and all of that equally. We have a caller. Good evening. Johnny from Delta. Thank you for calling. You're live. Go ahead. Did we lose him? I can't hear him. Oh, okay. All right. So the government should treat everybody as one. It must be treated equally. Those who advocate for this one tribe, supremacy over those who should, others, over others, right, should be warned and potentially sanctioned. So where you think that it is one part of Nigeria that is more superior than another part of Nigeria, all of those kind of people, they should be jailed. We are all one Nigeria. The other day, I was calling out the Bauchi State governor, and some northerners they had the effrontery to ask me that what is giving me the audacity to talk about I should face what makes you think that Nigeria, I'm not part of every part of Nigeria? Let me take another caller. Good evening.
Hello.
Thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yes. From the question you just asked, you see, we celebrate bad things. You see, we have these people. At times when I even look at Nigeria, you see these professors, highly placed people, they don't get anywhere. But you see people with questionable character, people who has been to sell or have one thing or one or another, or some bad something, they find themselves in government. Then you begin to wonder, why is it that we have this kind of people in government? Whether it is the military or in the politics, you see them, they're always there. Nobody questions them, how did you come to this place? Is it because he has business? No. Is it because he has worked in some offices? No. But it's just from nowhere. And this thing started since 1999, where they think, no, I will not go into politics because it's not, gentleman things. And since then, we have been living in it. And this is how we are growing in it. You just see our kind of leaders. There is no gentleman in them. They are like thugs. I'm sorry to use that word, but that is just what they are. They go to places, they organize anything, they will destroy it. But the truth is, even look at the Parotimi case. What happens to it? It dies like that. Then, but everybody is celebrating IBB. And now here, Natasha.
Thank you.
So I don't know how but unless we can't just sit down, go to church and start praying. We must continue to talk, or else it will go from fry pan to fire. It will get worse. Maybe that is when people will start carrying gun.
Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate your call. It's sad. Today, you see that I'm very sober because this topic, it just got me thinking. It just got me thinking. And like you rightly said, we left politics for too long for people that have so many questions. Do you know that it's almost like an unwritten rule that if your what's it called? If your history is clean, it will be hard for you to enter politics. You must have one comma. You must have one bend inside your matter. Like, how did we get here? How did we get here? How did we get here? The government has to prioritize resource management, to prevent, groups, all these kind of groups, all these, agitated groups and all of that from emerging. They can achieve this by, you see, when there is fairness, and there's a sense of you are my brother, you are my family, all of this gra-gra that is going on, we will not have it anymore. We'll start to have people that genuinely want to make sure they see their fellow Nigerians grow. Loma, let me take Loma. Good evening. Loma, are you there? Did we lose him?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. You're live. Good evening, Loma. Is he hearing me? Oh, apologies. So I'd also add that the educational sector should receive sufficient funding to provide quality education. For as long as we remain ignorant as a people, we will keep on having this challenge where we keep on having this crop of leaders. It will really help to reduce the number of uneducated and unemployed youth who are often vulnerable to manipulation by leaders with questionable character. Corruption also must be tackled head-on, and this requires a collective effort by all Nigerians. The government should establish effective institutions. Don't use EFCC for your personal, errands. Let EFCC truly do what EFCC is meant to do. Loma, are you there? Thank you for calling. Good evening.
I'm there.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Your question, you say you are sober.
I'm very sober today.
See, let me tell you, for the first time, Nigeria is not, Nigerian leadership is not a breeding ground for questionable characters. We have people, men of integrity, men of honor. But let me just tell you, the reason why we have people with questionable character in leadership positions. Number one, INEC. INEC is not ruling independent. Because they are not ruling independent, people that goes in there, they manipulate the people that are there. And before you know it, the rightful person that's supposed to be there will not win. That is number one thing. You go to the judiciary. Oh, our judiciary is no longer independent. They don't stand upon their truth. They are not, the men of integrity is no longer there. People that will stand their ground and say, we will stand for the truth, by the truth, and for the truth. And that is one of the reasons why it looks as if leadership is a breeding ground. Because you cannot tell me that if INEC is functioning well, the judiciary is functioning well, who is that man who did not win elections? Maybe a whole lot of people voted for a particular person, whom they know that this person, when he goes there, he will change things for better. Before you know it, when it gets to the INEC, they will manipulate things to the favor of person that did not win election. is one of the things that make it look as if leadership is a breeding ground until the INEC wash themselves of their sins. Unless they wash themselves, we will always have people with questionable character in leadership positions. Unless they deliberately come back and say we are independent and stand their ground. Look at what the Wike is doing in River State. Look at how they are insulting the governor. And he's a minister. It's quite unfortunate. So what I'm just saying, these two cases that I've just mentioned, once they change for better, once the true persons get to the leadership position of these agencies, before you know it, people that came in there, people of men and women of integrity.
Thank you, Loma. My sister, Nigeria is merely geographical expression. We are not one people. That is why the contraption called Nigeria can never progress. M. Jones says, greetings. It doesn't help decrease moral decadence when we have such individuals in leadership, e.g. the biggest fraudsters is praised because of dollar. There's too much worshipping of dollars. Deborah says, good evening. M. Jones, so true. They don't care about the erosion of the country because they are rotting to the core. We, the people, have to stand for better and not accept such people. So, Loma touched on INEC and judiciary because that was, where I was going to go to. And I said about, our institutions. We must be intentional about effective institutions. But guess what? Who are the people that would establish those institutions and make those laws to ensure that those institutions are strengthened and they are independent of any influence from either the executive or whatever? Who? Are they not your lawmakers? So the people that have questions or big question mark on them, do you think they will be willing to allow things to go right? So this is the issue. So when I asked this question today, I was running the topic by my producer. I was weak because in asking that question, even I know that it's such a complicated question to answer. Because for as long as these people are compromised, there is absolutely no way from a compromised system they would want to effect a structure that would give them, or that would not allow them do their business as usual that they are used to. It is going to be very tough. So how do we come out of this thing as Nigerians? Nigerians must wake up. Are you guys not tired? Are you not tired? A simple thing. When somebody comes and there is a problem and there's a question mark or there's a big X on your name, Oga, go and clear your name first before you come to even talk to us about anything, election or politics. We should start calling these people out. But something will happen. The next thing you start to hear some kind of funny stories going around. They are trying to bring down my government. They are trying to whatever. It is now the turn of the son of the soil. And you people want to, no, it cannot be. When it's your turn, you can question his character. He's our son. We don't care. Whatever he has done. We do that a lot. I don't know what else to say, but I think hey, God is good. I don't even know what to say. Let us be fair and let us be clear. Are we truly ready to start to install people of integrity in Nigeria? If the answer is yes, we all know what to do. It means that at some point you have to look away from what is coming into your stomach and focus on what would grow Nigeria. I don't know what else to say. So if we want to address the issue of Nigeria being a breeding ground for leaders with questionable characters, it would require a very, very, I always say this all the time on this show, is multifaceted. All our approaches in this country to some of the challenges that we face, it has to be multifaceted because our problems are also hydra-headed, right? So it is multifaceted and it would involve a lot of, first of all, promoting unity. We must come together as one voice. We must be tired of this thing. Because while some people are crying that this is, affecting them, some other person is sitting down and enjoying the largesse of corruption. There has to be some unity. You understand? Unity in one voice. We would tell the leaders, these are the things that we want. If they say that the basic requirement for you to come into position of leadership in Nigeria is school sat, provide your school sat. You understand? Go and bring your WAEC result. At least thank God that WAEC these days now, you can go online and pull out your result. So there's not going to be any forgery or whatever. We must start to intentionally seek leaders that prioritize education, that prioritize our well-being. We must be intentional about leaders that say, yes, so even though I want to chop, but I am here to work. Not leaders that will just blatantly come and to your face, nothing is being done, but monies are going every day. Because you truly cannot, I would not be deceiving myself to say that corruption will disappear overnight. No. We have a caller. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yes, go on. You see, what we are saying here, first, I always appreciate you. You are a very objective woman.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You are a different person. We can understand you. We can know where you are going. We know what you want. And a lot of us objectively are with you, even though we've not seen you, because we understand your projection. But let me say this. You see, the purpose here now is this. They've taken, because of the way they've treated us, because of poverty, they've understood our weak point. And they know that that weak point is money. So by the time they pump us with money, we get divided. We are so, we don't know how when money gets to us, we get loose. So that will not give us unity again. Okay, can you imagine if El-Rufai, if you were to be given that ministerial position, will you be against this government? Will you be talking against this person? Will you want to shift to another party? He will have been enjoying himself. He won't even go there. What are we talking about here? They've seen our weak point to be money. God will help us.
God will help us. Thank you so much. Let me take a comment from Grace. She says, disappointingly so, yes, it gets worse. Is there a way out of this quagmire? It looks really bleak. Take a look at the country's arm of government, all jokers. Thank you so much, Grace. I'll leave this question for all of us to continue to ponder on. This Tonight Show was not meant to do anything. It's just to keep on pricking our minds so we start to think deeply so that we will know how to approach this thing. Have we allowed Nigeria to become a breeding ground for questionable characters? The answer is yes. And like what the last caller just said, poverty has been weaponized, in case you don't know. Education, the lack of education, has been weaponized in this country. For as long as those things exist, it's going to be very, very, very tough. But that does not mean that we cannot surmount this challenge. I'll leave you with the quote for the day. It says, the supreme quality of leadership is unquestionable integrity. So once you start to have a leader that there is a comma in their name, we should start ruling those people out. I'll see you guys tomorrow. As always, enjoy the rest of your evening.
Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population, and with little or no meaningful engagement, leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.